Chosen ones, hear me clearly, for the hour is closer than you imagine. It is not enough to drift through life, content with routine or the approval of those around you. Being chosen is not an honor to be worn lightly. It is a burden to be carried with deliberate courage. You have been granted opportunity, and with it, responsibility. A responsibility that demands clarity, resolve, and immediate action. Look around you. The world does not wait for those who hesitate. Every day, countless decisions are made by others, shaping the paths you might have taken. And yet, within you lies a power, a spark that, if left unheeded, will dim not only your potential, but the potential of all who depend upon your wisdom. To be chosen is to recognize the possibility of greatness within yourself and to refuse the ease of complacency. Begin, then, with honest self-examination. What truths have you ignored in your own life? What fears have whispered, not now, later, perhaps tomorrow? These are the chains that hold you back. Confront them with unwavering courage, for delay is the enemy of purpose. Time is a gift, but it is also a test, and those who squander it often wonder too late why their lives never fulfilled the promise within them. Remember, the consequences of inaction stretch far beyond your own existence. Every choice you make ripples outward, touching lives you may never see, influencing futures you cannot predict. You are not merely living for yourself, you are shaping a world that will inherit the results of your courage or your indifference. Let that truth stir you to action. Let it ignite a fire of diligence, integrity, and steadfast hope. Therefore, do not wait for a sign, a guarantee, or the perfect moment. The time is now. Step forward, take responsibility, and embrace the tasks that have been entrusted to you. Do not shrink from discomfort, for it is the companion of growth. Do not shy away from sacrifice, for it is the currency of meaningful change. The world awaits those who are willing to act, and it will not wait forever. Chosen ones, this warning is your call. Heed it swiftly. Let your actions, guided by wisdom and courage, ensure that the potential you carry is not wasted. Rise, and let the life you lead be a testament to the truth that being chosen is a call to greatness, not a shield against duty. To be chosen is not simply a label or a recognition of status. It is the recognition of potential and the obligation that comes with it. Every person who finds themselves in a position of influence, whether large or small, carries a weight that is invisible to the casual observer. This weight is not measured in material terms or social prestige, but in the opportunities and responsibilities that present themselves each day. Being aware of this choice requires the ability to see clearly the landscape of your own life and the consequences of every action or inaction. The chosen are not defined by chance alone. They are defined by the decisions they make in the quiet moments when no one is watching, when the world offers comfort, distraction, or the easy path and yet demands courage and foresight. Awareness of choice begins with understanding that each moment holds a fork in the road, one path that leads toward purpose and one that leads toward waste. It is easy to underestimate the significance of a single decision, yet history demonstrates that the smallest choices often create the largest ripples. This awareness calls for vigilance, not arrogance, and for humility, not self-congratulation. Because being chosen is never an excuse to rest, it is a call to act deliberately and responsibly. Those who are aware of their calling must recognize that privilege is a dangerous illusion if it is not paired with deliberate action. The world often misleads us into believing that being in a favorable position guarantees success or virtue. In reality, it is only the awareness of choice, combined with consistent, intentional effort, that transforms opportunity into meaningful impact. Every individual who is chosen encounters crossroads where the options are not always clear, where moral clarity may be obscured by the allure of convenience or personal comfort. In these moments, awareness is a shield and a compass, enabling one to navigate complex circumstances with integrity. It is not enough to know that one is chosen. One must comprehend what it truly means to carry this status responsibly. This comprehension is not theoretical, it is practical, demanding ongoing self-reflection, analysis of outcomes, and the courage to act in alignment with higher principles, even when the immediate consequences are uncertain or challenging. Awareness of choice also involves understanding the interconnectedness of actions. The chosen cannot live in isolation. Their decisions inevitably affect others, shaping the lives of those who may never know the origins of these effects. This requires a heightened sense of empathy and foresight. To act without understanding the potential consequences is to risk diminishing the very purpose for which one has been given influence. It demands that the chosen examine not only their own ambitions, but also the broader context in which those ambitions operate. Decisions must be weighed against both immediate results and long-term impact. This is not a simple calculation of benefit or loss, but a recognition that the moral and practical consequences of choice often extend far beyond what is immediately visible. Those who fail to appreciate this risk becoming agents of unintentional harm, their influence diluted or misdirected by ignorance of the ripple effect that flows outward from every decision. Moreover, the awareness of choice is inseparable from self-mastery. One cannot responsibly exercise influence if one is ruled by impulses, desires, or fears that are left unchecked. To recognize that you are chosen is to acknowledge the responsibility of mastering the self before attempting to guide others. Self-mastery does not imply perfection, but requires vigilance in cultivating discipline, wisdom, and courage. It requires asking difficult questions. Am I acting out of fear or conviction? Am I choosing the easiest path or the path that aligns with enduring values? Am I prepared to bear the consequences of my choices, whether they bring praise or criticism, success or failure? These questions are essential because awareness without self-mastery is dangerous. It can lead to pride, recklessness, or the misuse of influence, undermining the very potential that being chosen is meant to realize. Finally, awareness of choice demands constant readiness. Life is unpredictable, and opportunities to act often arise without warning. The chosen cannot wait for ideal circumstances. They must cultivate attentiveness and responsiveness. Each moment contains the potential for decisions that will define character and shape the future. Being chosen is not a static condition. It is a dynamic responsibility that calls for vigilance, clarity, and courage at every turn. Understanding this transforms daily life into a series of deliberate opportunities, where even ordinary actions, when guided by conscious choice, become steps toward fulfilling a greater purpose. Awareness of choice is, therefore, the cornerstone of responsibility, the lens through which the chosen see the world, and the measure by which they ensure that their influence is both meaningful and just. Urgency is not a concept reserved for crisis alone. It is a state of mind that separates those who achieve from those who merely exist. To understand urgency is to understand that time is finite, and that the moments in which action is possible are slipping away even as they arrive. Every opportunity carries with it a fleeting window, and the failure to recognize this is the cause of countless regrets, both personal and collective. Urgency is not panic, nor is it a frantic rush. It is the disciplined awareness that action must be taken now, not later, because delay diminishes the effectiveness of choice. Those who are aware of urgency perceive the hidden costs of hesitation, doors that close without warning, relationships that weaken through neglect, talents that wither through inaction. The presence of urgency compels one to confront the reality that life does not pause for reflection alone. Decisions demand timing, and timing demands readiness. In cultivating this awareness, one develops a clarity that allows the chosen to move decisively, even when outcomes are uncertain, because they recognize that waiting for perfect conditions is often waiting for nothing. Action, in the context of urgency, requires a balance of thought and execution. It is insufficient to simply feel the weight of pressing necessity. One must translate that awareness into deliberate steps. These steps may begin modestly, a single commitment, a conversation, a disciplined habit, but their cumulative effect is transformative. Action is the engine by which purpose is realized, and urgency is the fuel that prevents that engine from stalling. The two are inseparable because awareness alone cannot change circumstances, Only action can convert intention into impact. Yet action without direction is wasteful. The urgency that inspires it must be guided by wisdom, ensuring that movement is meaningful rather than chaotic. The chosen must therefore cultivate both speed and discernment, understanding that every deliberate action carries consequences that extend beyond the self. The urgency of the moment is not a license to act blindly, but a call to act with intention, recognizing that delayed action may cost far more than immediate missteps. The natural human tendency is to defer, to rationalize postponement with the illusion of preparation or the hope of future opportunity. Yet this tendency is often a silent thief, robbing the chosen of potential while disguising itself as prudence. Urgency counters this inertia by illuminating the stark reality that opportunities are rarely repeated, and that indecision is the silent architect of mediocrity. Every great achievement in history, every significant advancement, owes itself not to those who waited for perfect conditions, but to those who acted decisively within the constraints of the moment. To internalize urgency is to reject the comfortable lull of postponement and to embrace a mindset in which every day, every hour, and every decision carries weight. It transforms life into a series of active engagements rather than passive observances, ensuring that potential is not squandered in the slow erosion of hesitation. Urgency also demands courage because immediate action often requires stepping into discomfort, risk, or uncertainty. It is far easier to delay, to cling to safety, or to defer responsibility, but true urgency recognizes that growth and impact are forged in the tension of challenge. The chosen must therefore cultivate resilience and decisiveness, understanding that inaction is not neutral. It is a choice in itself, often one with consequences more severe than the risks of immediate engagement. Urgency trains the mind to weigh fear against opportunity, to measure hesitation against the finite nature of time, and to act with a resolve that reflects both prudence and boldness. The absence of urgency breeds a false sense of security, lulling the individual into believing that life is abundant and infinite when in reality moments slip silently past, irretrievable once lost. Furthermore, urgency compels prioritization. Not all actions are equal, and the chosen must discern which tasks and decisions warrant immediate attention and which may wait. This discernment is critical because it ensures that the energy generated by urgency is directed toward meaningful outcomes rather than dissipated on trivial matters. It teaches the discipline of focus, the skill of saying no to distractions, and the clarity to recognize which steps will produce lasting impact. In this way, urgency becomes not just a temporal awareness, but a moral and practical compass, guiding the chosen toward purposeful activity rather than reactive business. By internalizing the need for immediate, deliberate action, one aligns both intention and execution, ensuring that life is lived fully, decisively, and with an awareness of the profound consequences that accompany every choice. Self-examination is not merely a reflective exercise. It is the cornerstone of meaningful growth and the gateway to authentic action. To engage in true self-examination is to look unflinchingly at one's own life, choices, and motivations, acknowledging both strengths and weaknesses with equal honesty. It demands the courage to confront uncomfortable truths, the patience to recognize patterns of behavior that have gone unnoticed, and the humility to accept responsibility for the consequences of past actions. This process requires consistency and depth, for superficial observation will yield little insight and no transformation. One must be willing to ask difficult questions. Am I living in alignment with my values, or have I allowed external pressures to dictate my path? Am I cultivating my abilities with purpose, or am I squandering time on distractions and trivial pursuits? Self-examination is a deliberate practice of honesty, aimed at uncovering the hidden forces that shape decisions, the unconscious habits that limit potential, and the internal fears that prevent bold action. Without such scrutiny, even those who are chosen risk drifting aimlessly, mistaking business or achievement for true progress. The act of examining oneself also requires the recognition of accountability. It is easy to blame circumstances, other people, or uncontrollable events for stagnation or failure, yet such deflection erodes the power to change. Self-examination forces one to acknowledge that the locus of control resides, in large part, within oneself. Every success and every failure is influenced by the choices made, the attention given to priorities, and the willingness to act when necessary. By facing this reality, individuals cultivate a sense of ownership over their lives, understanding that waiting for external validation, permission, or ideal conditions is a form of surrender that undermines purpose. The chosen must therefore embrace the responsibility to guide their own development, to make deliberate adjustments where weaknesses are identified, and to reinforce strengths that will enable them to meet the demands of opportunity with competence and integrity. Self-examination also reveals patterns of avoidance and denial. Many individuals live with subtle self-deceptions, convincing themselves that they are prepared, capable, or aligned with their purpose when, in truth, they are avoiding necessary discomfort or reflection. These illusions often manifest as procrastination, justification, or the pursuit of shallow achievements that mask deeper neglect. By rigorously examining their own motives and actions, individuals expose these illusions, dismantling the false narratives that have governed behavior. This process is rarely easy, for it requires courage to confront flaws that may have been long ignored and to take responsibility for habits that have persisted unchecked. Yet it is precisely this confrontation that generates clarity and empowerment, transforming uncertainty into intentionality and passivity into proactive engagement. Moreover, self-examination cultivates discernment. When one understands the internal drivers of behavior, the fears, desires, and impulses that influence choices, it becomes possible to act with deliberate wisdom rather than reactive instinct. This discernment allows the chosen to navigate complex circumstances, prioritize effectively, and respond to challenges with a balanced, informed perspective. It also fosters emotional intelligence, enabling one to recognize the impact of actions not only on oneself but on others. Through self-examination, one develops the capacity to interpret feedback, learn from mistakes, and adapt strategies to align more closely with long-term objectives and ethical principles. In this way, self-awareness becomes both a tool for personal growth and a foundation for meaningful influence. The process of examining oneself requires a disciplined framework. Reflection alone is insufficient without structured journaling, critical questioning, and regular assessment of goals and habits can help maintain clarity and focus. It is not enough to acknowledge shortcomings, one must also plan corrective actions and implement them consistently. Self-examination is iterative, requiring continual reassessment and adaptation as circumstances evolve and as personal growth occurs. This ongoing process ensures that progress is sustained rather than episodic, and that the chosen remain vigilant against complacency or regression. Finally, self-examination strengthens the capacity for courage and authenticity. When one understands one's true capabilities and limitations, one is equipped to act with confidence, to make choices grounded in reality rather than illusion, and to engage the world with integrity. It allows the chosen to confront difficult decisions with clarity, knowing that action is informed by insight rather than impulse. It empowers individuals to align life with purpose, to reject distractions and false priorities, and to cultivate habits that reflect the highest standards of responsibility and ethical conduct. By fostering honesty, accountability, discernment, and disciplined reflection, self-examination transforms potential into tangible action, ensuring that those who are chosen do not drift aimlessly, but navigate life with intention, courage, and unwavering purpose. Legacy and impact are the natural consequences of deliberate action, a measure of the choices we make and the influence we leave behind long after we are gone. To understand legacy is to recognize that life is not lived in isolation, that each decision has consequences that extend beyond the immediate moment and affect those who come after us. Every action, no matter how small, contributes to the larger tapestry of influence, shaping the environment, relationships, and opportunities available to others. The chosen cannot afford to act carelessly or with short-term vision, because the repercussions of their deeds are often magnified over time. Legacy is created not through intentions alone, but through consistent, thoughtful engagement with the world, where each decision reflects both immediate responsibility and consideration for future consequences. Understanding impact means acknowledging that what we do today sets the stage for what others will inherit tomorrow, and that even seemingly insignificant actions can produce far-reaching effects that may persist for generations. The concept of impact demands awareness of interconnectedness. No one operates in a vacuum, and every choice influences a network of relationships and systems that extend far beyond the individual. The decisions we make shape the moral and practical environment of those around us, providing examples to emulate or mistakes to avoid. This interconnectedness requires the chosen to think beyond personal gain or convenience, to weigh the broader consequences of their actions, and to prioritize contributions that strengthen rather than diminish the world. Legacy is therefore inseparable from responsibility. For those who fail to consider the implications of their behavior risk leaving behind harm, confusion, or missed opportunity. By embracing a mindset attuned to impact, the chosen develop foresight, ethical clarity, and a dedication to outcomes that extend beyond their immediate sphere of influence. Legacy is also closely tied to the concept of permanence versus transience. Life is fleeting, and the achievements, possessions, and accolades that occupy the present are temporary, if not paired with enduring value. Those who are chosen understand that legacy is not built on the ephemeral, but on actions that resonate with timeless principles: honesty, courage, compassion, diligence, and integrity. It is the application of these principles in daily life that ensures actions are not forgotten, that influence persists, and that contributions have lasting significance. Every moment presents an opportunity to add to this enduring pattern of meaningful engagement, whether through teaching, mentorship, ethical leadership, innovation, or acts of service that ripple through communities and society at large. The chosen must therefore evaluate each decision through the lens of whether it strengthens or diminishes their long-term influence. Impact requires intentionality. Leaving a meaningful legacy is not accidental, it is the product of deliberate planning and sustained effort. To influence positively, one must identify priorities, cultivate skills, and align actions with values that produce constructive outcomes. It involves setting standards for oneself that reflect the type of life and influence one wishes to leave behind. Without intentionality, even consistent activity can produce negligible or negative results, while deliberate engagement transforms ordinary deeds into extraordinary contributions. Legacy is thus a reflection of conscious living, where choices are guided by a vision of the long-term effect rather than the fleeting satisfaction of immediate gains. The chosen must act with both ambition and restraint, understanding that the pursuit of temporary pleasure or recognition often compromises the enduring value of their contributions. Another critical aspect of legacy and impact is the responsibility to inspire and equip others. True influence is not merely the accumulation of achievements, but the ability to empower others to reach their potential. The actions of the chosen serve as both model and catalyst for those who follow, demonstrating what is possible when one acts with courage, discipline, and integrity. By consciously fostering growth in others, the chosen multiply their impact exponentially, ensuring that their values and vision continue to shape the world long after direct involvement has ceased. This creates a chain of influence that transcends individual lifespans, where the consequences of deliberate, value-driven actions extend far beyond what the initial actor might see or comprehend. Finally, legacy and impact demand humility and accountability. Recognizing that influence persists beyond one's immediate presence requires careful consideration, a willingness to accept responsibility for mistakes, and a commitment to correction and growth. It is a reminder that life is not solely about personal fulfillment, but about the stewardship of opportunity, talent, and influence. Every decision matters, every act contributes, and the accumulation of these choices forms the narrative that will outlast the individual. By embracing this awareness, the chosen live with intentionality, ensuring that each action contributes to a legacy of purpose, meaning, and enduring positive impact, and that their presence in the world leaves it measurably better than they found it.